He walked through those glass doors with grease still under his fingernails and 30 years of stories written in the lines of his weathered hands. All he wanted was a look under the hood of a 1967 Mustang, the same model he'd built from scrap metal in a Vietnam fire base when most of these salesmen weren't even born. But they saw his work boots, his faded coveralls, and decided he didn't belong. What they didn't know was that those same hands had kept helicopters flying, tanks rolling, and soldiers alive. And exactly 2 hours later, 12 vintage muscle cars pulled into that lot, engines roaring in perfect harmony, carrying men who would never forget the mechanic, who taught them that precision isn't just about parts, it's about saving lives. Welcome to Silent Heroes. Before we share this powerful story of respect, brotherhood, and the bonds that time cannot break, tell me in the comments, what city are you watching from today? And if you believe true craftsmen deserve respect, regardless of how they're dressed, hit that subscribe button. These stories matter. Premium Motors sat in the affluent part of town, its floor-to-ceiling windows displaying cars that cost more than most people's houses. The showroom gleamed with polished concrete floors and LED spotlights that made every vehicle look like a piece of art. Behind the curved reception desk, 3 young salesmen in tailored suits discussed weekend plans while classical music played softly overhead. At exactly 2:15 p.m., the automatic doors whispered open. The man who entered didn't disturb the atmosphere. He simply became part of it, quietly and without fanfare. Gray work pants, steel-toed boots, and a navy blue coverall with Eddie embroidered above the pocket. His face was weathered but alert, hands scarred but steady, eyes that had seen more than most people could imagine. He walked slowly toward the back of the showroom, where a pristine 1967 Mustang Fastback sat under a spotlight, candy apple red with chrome that reflected the ceiling lights like mirrors. He stopped 3 feet away, hands clasped behind his back, just looking. One of the salesmen glanced over, raised an eyebrow, and nudged his colleague. "Excuse me, sir," he called out, voice polite but firm. "That particular vehicle is by appointment only. Are you here to see someone specific?" Eddie turned slowly. No irritation in his expression, just patient attention. "Just wanted to see the engine bay if that's possible," he said quietly. "Haven't seen one of these in original condition for quite a while." The lead salesman, barely 30 with perfectly styled hair and a watch that cost more than Eddie's monthly pension, walked over with a practiced smile. "I appreciate your interest, but this is a $180,000 collector's piece. We don't typically open the hood for browsers." "I understand," Eddie said simply. "I helped build these when I was younger. Just curious about the 289 high-performance engine configuration." The second salesman, overhearing, chuckled. "Built them? Right. Look, buddy, no offense, but you might be more comfortable at the Ford dealer down the street. They have some nice used trucks." Eddie's expression didn't change. He nodded once, looked back at the Mustang for a long moment, then headed toward the door. No argument, no demand to speak to a manager, no explanation of who he was or what those hands had really built. Just a quiet man accepting dismissal, the way he'd learned to accept a lot of things, with dignity intact. As he reached the door, the third salesman called out, "Hey, try not to drip oil on the floor mats on your way out." Their laughter followed him into the parking lot. What none of them noticed was the woman in the service area, watching through the glass partition. Mid-50s, wearing a shop manager's shirt, she'd seen the whole thing. More importantly, she'd recognized Eddie immediately. The moment the door closed behind him, she pulled out her phone, and dialed a number she hadn't called in 15 years. "Jimmy? It's Sarah from the base shop." "Yeah, I know it's been forever. Listen, you need to know something. Eddie's in town, and someone just treated him like garbage." She paused, watching the salesmen high-five each other. "The luxury dealer on Maple." "Yeah, that Eddie. The one who kept us flying." She hung up and made 2 more calls. Same message, different numbers. Within 20 minutes, phones were ringing across 3 counties. At 4:15 p.m., the rumble started low and distant, like thunder that couldn't decide whether to break. The salesmen inside Premium Motors were wrapping up paperwork when the sound grew louder, more focused, more intentional. Then they saw them through the windows. Not 1 car, but 12. Vintage muscle cars rolling into the lot in formation. A 69 Camaro Z28, a 70 Challenger RT, a 68 Charger RT, and 9 others, each one immaculate, each engine tuned to perfection. They parked in a perfect line facing the showroom, engines idling in synchronized harmony. The drivers stepped out simultaneously. Men in their 60s and 70s, some in jeans and leather jackets, others in casual shirts, but all carrying themselves with unmistakable authority. They weren't angry. They weren't shouting. They simply walked toward the entrance with the kind of purposeful calm that made the air itself feel heavier. The automatic doors opened, and 12 men entered in silence. The lead salesman, now visibly uncomfortable, forced a smile. "Gentlemen, welcome to Premium Motors. Quite an impressive collection you have out there. Are you here for our collector car auction next month?" The oldest of the group, silver-haired with arms crossed, stepped forward. "2 hours ago, one of our brothers walked through that door. Master Sergeant Eddie Kowalski, 25th Infantry Division. He built helicopter engines in Vietnam, maintained aircraft that brought wounded soldiers home, taught half the mechanics at 3 different bases everything they know about keeping machines running when failure meant death." His voice was quiet, but carried weight that made the showroom feel smaller. He asked to see an engine. Your staff laughed at his work clothes and told him to leave. The second salesman, pale now, cleared his throat. "Sir, I think there might be some misunderstanding." "No misunderstanding," another man interrupted, this one with a Purple Heart pin on his jacket. "Eddie never told anyone what he did over there. Never mentioned that he volunteered for the most dangerous missions because aircraft mechanics had to be on site for field repairs. Never said that he worked 72-hour shifts when choppers were bringing in casualties." A third man placed a photograph on the gleaming reception desk. Black and white, showing a young Eddie in olive-drab coveralls, hands deep in a helicopter engine, surrounded by other soldiers. This was taken in 1968. Firebase Alpha. That Huey behind him? He rebuilt the entire rotor assembly under enemy fire, saved 16 lives that day. The room was completely silent now. The salesmen stood frozen, the weight of their mistake settling over them like lead. "We're not here for apologies," the first man continued. "We're here because Eddie wouldn't speak for himself. He never has. But when you disrespect a man who spent his youth keeping other men alive, who came home and spent 40 more years fixing things that other people broke, who earned every scar on those hands you mocked, that's when we speak for him." He turned toward the Mustang that had started it all. "That car you wouldn't let him touch? Eddie could rebuild its entire engine blindfolded. He's forgotten more about engines than most people ever learn, but he's humble enough to just want to look, not lecture you about what you don't understand." The man reached into his wallet and pulled out a business card, placing it next to the photograph. Master Chief Mechanic, retired, If you ever have a classic car you can't figure out, there's his number. But after today, I doubt he'd answer your call. One by one, the 12 men turned and walked out. No threats, no demands, just truth delivered in the kind of silence that speaks louder than shouting ever could. Outside, Eddie was waiting by his pickup truck. He hadn't asked them to come, hadn't even known they were coming. But when 12 men who respected him more than any sales commission stood up for his dignity, he understood what brotherhood really meant. They didn't say much. They never did. Just nods, brief embraces, and the knowledge that some bonds don't break just because decades pass. Eddie climbed into his truck and drove home the same way he'd come, quietly and without fanfare. But inside Premium Motors, everything had changed. The photograph remained on the reception desk. The business card stayed beside it. And 3 young salesmen learned that respect isn't about what someone drives or what they wear. It's about what they've done when it mattered most. Some heroes wear uniforms, others wear coveralls. Some carry weapons, others carry wrenches. But all of them share one thing in common. They do the work that keeps the world turning, often without recognition, always without complaint. Eddie Kowalski didn't need those salesmen to know his story. He'd already lived it. But sometimes the world needs reminders that the hands that look dirty are often the ones that kept everything clean. That the men who dress simply are often the ones who've done the most complex work of all. What do you think? Have you ever met someone whose quiet competence told a deeper story? Someone whose weathered hands held more skill than their appearance suggested? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that honor the silent heroes who keep our world running.